G'day, ZiggyD here, and welcome back for the ZiggyD Weekly, the show where I tell you what's happened over the past week and what's coming up on YouTube, what you can expect out of my content in the week to come. So, I'm recording this a little bit later in the evening today on Monday, a little bit later than usual. I usually do it in the morning to kickstart the week, but that's because I spent most of today doing a bunch of man work. That's right, even though 99% of the time I'm a computer nerd, a gaming nerd, occasionally, I have to get out there and do some man work, and I'm not actually that opposed to doing a bit of man work every now and then. I think as an Australian male, I respect an honest, hard day's labour as much as the next guy. But that said, today's man work was a little bit, it didn't go so well. So basically, we're having a house inspection tomorrow, so I had to do some lawn work mostly, do some mowing and whippersnippering and stuff like that. I don't know if whippersnippering is actually a term that will apply to other countries. That might sound a bit funny, just thinking about it now. It sounds pretty Australian. But whippersnippering, line trimming, string trimmer, that sort of thing. But I got out there and did some of that, and I'll throw up a photo actually, if I can get it on my computer, of what ZiggyD looks like doing man work, just for your reference and your amusement. Anyway, so that was all going okay, but then I got to the mowing stage and took my mower out, and about a quarter of the way through the lawn, and our lawn's pretty massive and the grass was pretty high. It was like probably about that tall. It'd probably been about 3 weeks since our last mowing session, so yeah, not great. But like a bolt that's supposed to hold the wheel in place to be high enough off the ground snapped. So it was kind of like leaning against this thing, and I had to do this angling, holding the mower, because I have to do this for tomorrow's inspection. I have to have the lawn mowed, but the wheel's kind of leaning against this thing, and it's super awkward. I have to hold the mower at this certain angle while I'm mowing, so it doesn't like bottom out and just like grind into the dirt and start mowing the dirt. But yeah, my mower is destroyed, and but I managed to get it done. And it kind of reminded me of that dream I had the other week where I was trying to use that really complicated bow. And the other night, I actually had another dream where I was trying to use a snipper rifle, and it was really complicated. Like the bolt to reload it was like all this super complicated stuff to try and reload it. So I don't know what's going on in my life and my dreams at the moment, but everything's trying to tell me that, I don't know what they're trying to tell me. My dream's trying to tell me, but apparently I'm, having to deal with all this complicated stuff. I don't know what that is my brain trying to tell me there. Maybe you guys have some ideas, but yeah, these kind of reoccurring concept is happening in my life and my dreams at the moment. It's starting to freak me out a little bit. Anyway, let's move into the actual ZD Weekly. So first up, it's been a pretty massive week. I'm sure you guys have seen the content and I don't know, maybe got that sense that it's been a pretty massive week overall. We had the Diablo 3 auction house announced to be removed. That's like huge news for pretty much my gaming niche in general. But I made some videos on that, obviously. Did a podcast with Mowing, which went live. He streamed it live to over 1,000 viewers as well. So that was a different experience for me. I've never really done much live streaming, actually. I think the most I've ever live streamed to was like on other people's live streams, maybe to like 50 to 100 people, maybe max, maybe. But I've done the podcasting thing a bit, but it's usually not been live. But yeah, this went live to over 1,000 people, so that was an interesting and fun experience. I really enjoyed it, actually. And the VOD, as always, the descriptions will be down. The link will be down in the description below for you to check out that. But it was pretty good. It was a really good, fun podcast, and I'm planning on possibly doing some more stuff with Mowing in the future like it, but also planning to do some other stuff with other Diablo 3 streamers, because I like bringing people together and producing that sort of content. It's really fun. I think it gives you guys a lot of value as well. So pretty happy to do that and want to do a lot more of it in the future. But also, that's not even the biggest thing. I also announced that I am now 100% full-time YouTube. So check out that announcement video if you missed it. But basically, I finished up the last of my freelance work and decided to just jump straight into YouTube. It's going well. It's getting close. Almost good enough to be, solid full-time. But I still need to push it a little bit further. And in that video, I actually told you guys how you can actually help me grow my channel a little bit. Pretty simple stuff, but check it out because pretty exciting announcement. A little bit nervous about it overall, but still very excited to see how I can go with this full-time YouTube thing. On the similar note, this is actually newer news for you guys who have already seen that video. Me and Amy looked at some houses the other night, I think it was like last night, and in our sort of area, because we're trying to move to somewhere with good internet, basically. The internet that I have at the moment just isn't good enough to start streaming, and starting streaming is something I really want to do because it's going to allow me to do something a bit different to what I do on YouTube and to interact with you guys much more live than I do now. Like I'm almost live sometimes when I'm answering my comments, because I'm like answering them just as you guys are posting them, but it's still not quite a live stream, still very different. But it also will allow me to play the games I want to cover in much more detail and dedicate much more time to them, essentially, because I can stream at the same time. So I can sort of get that double value there and actually play the games a lot more, instead of having to spend most of the time doing YouTube stuff. So turn back the YouTube stuff and do a little bit of streaming in there as well and kind of balance that out a bit. But that's something I'm looking forward to doing. But the actual point of what I was talking about was that we looked at some houses in our localish sort of area and actually found some places with pretty cheap rent that have the good internet connection we need. So that was surprising, because we didn't think that would be possible. We thought we'd have to move somewhere in the city or something like that, pay a ton more rent, and basically, since I'm only just sort of covering rent now, a more expensive place would obviously be harder. I would have to wait much longer. But basically, this means that hopefully by the end of the year, in a couple months' time, we'll be able to move somewhere with good internet. I'll be able to start streaming. Reaper of Souls will launch. I'll be able to stream that. All pretty exciting stuff. So it's looking pretty positive and good. I'm pretty excited about that. In terms of other content for the week, I did a teaser video for an upcoming survival kind of shooter DayZ-like game called Nether. I've been brought into this sort of group that's going to have exclusive access to cover the game early before its launch, and it's looking pretty interesting. It looks really smooth, it looks really cool, and it's kind of giving me this vibe that I want out of this kind of like cooperative multiplayer / PvP survival experience, which I've never really had a good game out of that. It's kind of a desperation genre over all those survival games, like zombie survival games, even though this isn't a zombie game, technically. But, that same sort of survival experience is something I've been looking forward to. So hopefully this game will be pretty interesting. But nonetheless, I'll let you guys know what it's actually like once I can play it. And that should be sometime over the next few days, so expect that in upcoming content. And in addition to that, I looked at a Diablo mod in Skyrim. Go check that out. It was pretty cool. I had fun playing around with that. And I also did some other Diablo 3 coverage. Plenty of Diablo 3 stuff this week, because just a lot's been happening in Diablo world at the moment. So, next up I want to transition over into a question. This will be the only question this week, actually. Sorry to everyone who's been sending me questions, but I want to base the rest of this ZIGGYD Weekly on this one question. And it comes in from Dany, and he asks, or he or she, I don't know, it could be either. Dany's kind of an ambiguous name. He or she asks, with the recent announcement that you're quitting Final Fantasy XIV and that you don't really plan on covering other MMOs, what can we expect in terms of content for the channel in the near future and beyond? So first up I want to say, I never really quit Final Fantasy XIV because it never really grabbed me. It kind of just happened naturally that I stopped playing it. So I kind of just noticed, I went, hey, I haven't played Final Fantasy XIV for like over a week, maybe almost 2 weeks now. So I thought, okay, I should probably make a bit of a video explaining why I think that is. And basically the answer for that, which if you can go check out the video, but it was basically, I don't really know why I didn't enjoy it, why I don't enjoy MMOs. It just seems to be the case that I don't enjoy traditional MMOs. So yes, I probably won't dedicate myself or say that I'm going to cover an MMO in a lot of depth, because I tried to do that with Final Fantasy. I tried pretty seriously to get into it, played a lot of the beta and stuff like that, tested it, was pretty keen, thought it was going to be really good for me, but turns out I just don't think those games work so well with me. So maybe it's just the MMOs, maybe it was Final Fantasy XIV, but I don't know, it seemed like a pretty high quality game, so not too sure, but yeah. But in terms of, I want to focus on this, what can we expect in terms of content for the channel in the near future and beyond. So I'm going to break this down into 3 things. Immediate game roster, what I'm going to be covering in the near future, my long-term game roster, what that might look like, and I want to talk about my general content philosophies, because it's actually something I've been thinking about quite a bit. How would I want to shape my channel? What's the actual type of content I want to produce? Because I do the guides thing, and I think that's really my key. I really like to break down games, and I really like to teach and help people. So I think focusing on guides is a really good way to angle that. But we'll get to that in a second. Firstly, my immediate game roster looks something like Diablo 3, with the upcoming Reaper of Souls launch and preparing for Reaper of Souls launch. Pretty exciting. Expect plenty of content on that. Path of Exile, I don't think I'll be able to let that game go anytime soon. It's just too damn good. So expect somewhat regular videos for that, especially when stuff happens, when there's like a new patch launch, or there's going to be the full game launch soon, new content released. Whenever there's new skills, I'll cover that. I'll cover new uniques and things like that, and I'll also try and get out the occasional guide as well. Nowhere near with the same fervor as when I first got into the game, like twice daily Path of Exile guides. That probably won't happen again, maybe for a while, but I still want to be something that's going to be part of my channel for a long time to come, because it's a really awesome game and I want to do as much as I can to support it and the people playing it as well. I'm sure a lot of you guys will be happy to hear that. I know a lot of you guys did subscribe for Path of Exile content, so be happy to know that there's going to be plenty more of that coming your way. Also, near future games, Nether, as I mentioned, I did a teaser video for that, and I'm going to be trying that out. That'll be something I look at for at least a week. If it's terrible, I'll look at it for at least a week. If it's good, maybe a couple of weeks. If it turns out to be awesome, then maybe longer. We'll see. And then Hearthstone as well. I'm still in love with that game. I haven't played it much over the past few days, but I still want to make some regular videos on that, especially leading up towards launch. I might make some more beginner-oriented guides come launch as well, so that you guys that can finally get your hands on the game can follow along with those guides and, you know, get yourself into it a bit better and get a bit more out of that game, because it's really fun. I think it's a really, really well done collectible card game. And that's because, you know, I've never really felt super compelled to play a collectible card game, because they just, you know, they didn't feel like inviting enough, but Hearthstone is really inviting. I think it's going to draw a lot of people into the genre, so it's pretty exciting and something I want to cover a bit. So now let's talk about my long-term game roster. Firstly, Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, as well as I'll probably look at other action RPGs. For example, in the past I looked at the Van Helsing game, I looked at, did I look at Torchlight? Kinda, not really. I never really ended up looking at Torchlight much, but I also looked at Grim Dawn, and I'll probably do a bit more Grim Dawn coverage in the future as well. Generally speaking, if it's an action RPG, I'll try it out, and I'll give it some coverage, and I'll let you guys know my thoughts on it, and if it turns out to be a really, really good action RPG, like Diablo 3 or Path of Exile, then I'll probably cover it long term as well. That's definitely my core niche, the action RPG games, because they're really enjoyable, and they have a lot of what I like about video games, learning and creating your characters and interesting, complicated mechanics and challenging gameplay. So it's pretty much a sure thing that I'll be trying out action RPGs. So if you see any, be sure to send them my way. Next up, I'll probably still take a look at the Elderscrolls Online MMO, even though I said I won't really cover MMOs in great detail. I'll still give that a go, and if it turns out to be good, I'll give it some more coverage. If not, at the very least, I'll give you guys a review of it and let me know what I think, what the problems are, talk a bit about the game around launch, because I'm a big Elder Scrolls series fan, but I suspect the MMO is going to be pretty rubbish. Unfortunately, it's not shaping up to be anything too substantial, I think. I think it's going to be pretty generic overall, but still an Elder Scrolls game, so I'll still throw my 2 cents in there. The same deal sort of with Everquest next. Actually, I shouldn't really lump those in together. I'll probably take a look at Everquest next, because it looks to be pretty interesting and pretty different. Now, while I've said I probably won't cover traditional MMOs again, like I tried to do with Final Fantasy, because it just doesn't seem to be the right game for me, Everquest next looks to be a bit more sandboxy, and sandbox MMOs is something I can probably get behind, because I think they give her a lot more freedom, I think, and maybe might be a bit different to the traditional MMOs. Might enjoy them a bit more, so I'll definitely give that a game a go, and if it turns out to be good, of course I'll add it to my content coverage. I'll also probably take a look at things like Fallout games, the normal Elder Scrolls series, because I really enjoy all of those, and probably any Blizzard title and some RTSs and things like that I really like. I actually really like real-time strategy games, but I just haven't played that many in recent times, because besides StarCraft, there hasn't really been that much worth playing, I think. So yeah, that's kind of like what my long-term game roster will look like. And if any sort of games can fit into that, in the ones I really enjoy, then I'll incorporate those. But it's all about the ones that turn out to be really good and really have what I want in a game, to add them to my main roster, which at the moment is just Diablo 3 and Path of Exile. But we'll see what else gets added to that over time. So now let's talk about my general content philosophy. Okay. Oh man. Okay. I'm cracking myself up my own jokes. Okay, we can do this. We can do this. So the first thing is I want to produce long-term content on games that really capture the depth and quality that I think make those games worth covering. So as I said, at the moment that's only really Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, but could be more games in the future. But that's what I want to do. When I find those games, I want to make really good long-term content on them. I want to start off with beginner's guides, how to help people get into the game, especially if it's a game that's pretty difficult at the beginning, like Path of Exile, and then, you know, progress, and you guys kind of grow with me as I learn more and I make more complicated and more high-level guides as we both sort of move through these games together, and you guys can follow along that process and end up getting a lot more out of your games, which is my main kind of value there. This might also involve me trying out and giving some other games minor coverage, because to obviously find those games that are really good, I have to try out a bunch of different games. So the games that I do try out, I'll be sure, it'd be pretty hard to not make some content on those games. So if a new MMO comes out and I decide to play it for whatever reason, it sparks my interest somehow, then I'll probably throw it some coverage just to see if that game is any good, and to see whether covering it is enjoyable as well. Because for me now, it's not just about enjoying playing a game, I also have to enjoy covering it. Like, I really love talking about Diablo 3 and Path of Exile, but do I really enjoy talking about this next game that I try? I don't know, maybe it's not that fun to talk about, maybe it's fun to play, but kind of boring to talk about. So it has to fulfill both of those criteria, I think. I'll probably also review games within genres that I know well, like action RPGs, to help you guys make more informed buying decisions. Like, for example, in the past, I made a review on Grim Dawn. I think that was a pretty good review. Actually, I kind of want to do more of that. I think I really captured what was good and not good about the game, and maybe help some people save some money or spend some money if they thought it would be good for them. But I'd also like to host lots of content, like podcasts and discussion shows like I did with Mulgen recently, to help build communities within the games that I play. Especially in Diablo 3, I'm noticing a real distinct lack of community content. Like, the streamers and the YouTubers that cover Diablo 3, none of them interact with each other. It's like super lonely. It feels like everyone's really sealed off in their little Diablo 3 boxes, like looking at the monitor. I'm like, here's Diablo 3 and me, and I'll just make my content there. But I want people to, kind of get together and talk about this game together, because talking with other people about these games is really, really exciting and fun. So I want to do more of that, and I think that's something you guys will probably really enjoy as well. And I'd also like to eventually start streaming, as I've said. I kind of plan on breaking streaming down a little bit differently to a lot of streams you see now, but I want to do shorter and more focused style, like show-style streams, interspersed with some education and longer sessions of theory crafting. So I might have, like, maybe a certain time of the day I do like a certain show on a certain game, and it's really specific in focus, and you guys know what I'm going to be talking about in that, and you'll know the value you can get out of that. You can know to tune in just kind of like you do on a regular TV. And I'd also like to do some longer education and theory crafting sessions, and I'd also like to do some more relaxed gameplay, because obviously a big point of streaming has been able to just interact with you guys and play the games and learn a bit more about the games myself, and you guys can learn that along with me. So I'm looking forward to that as well. But overall, one of my core goals in gaming is to help people get more out of their games, to enjoy them on a much more deep and fulfilling level. And half of the battle with that, I think, will be finding those games that are worth doing that with. So if we can find those games together that are really, really worth getting more out of, then I'll help you guys get more out of them. And that's kind of what you can expect in terms of my content. So hopefully, Danny, that's probably the longest response I've ever done to any one single question. But hopefully that answers your question, and gives you an idea of if you want to stick around on the channel or not. Anyway, I think that's about it for now. Make sure you send your questions to QNA@ZIGGYD.tv. In general, more general questions about myself, YouTube, games, or the games that I cover are good. Really specific stuff and really specific theory crafting stuff might get made into other videos, but general I can't do it on the ZiggyD Weekly because they take a bit too long to answer. But yeah, that's it for now. I'm ZiggyD, and thanks for watching.